boy, the skirt. I'm getting ahead of myself. Hello everyone, Merry Time Zone shares here with the wrap up of the blue dress edition. As you can see, it's done! Yay! As many of you know, my inspiration for this entire project, watching Sophie's videos on the Sophie dress, that was the whole impetus that caused this entire project. Me just staring at the TV and going, yeah, I can make that. While this isn't complete, I'm working on the yellow dress after I slimmed down my fabric stash. It's starting to build up. I am excited to wear this. I'm so happy with how this came out. This dress is very comfortable. The whole process was a trial. I have nearly had a few crying sessions over this. As you can see, the dress is in complete linen. It is a beautiful cerulean blue. While I did follow certain things Sophie did, there were some things that I did on my own to work with my body. Like with many patterns that I have worked on, whether it was knitting or sewing, I modded the ever-living hell out of this dress. Why? Well, the things that are on the pattern paper don't always translate well onto my body. Since I do not have the same measurements as the dress form behind me, I had to do some alterations, modifications, and get some help from friends and family in order to get this sit right. To do that, I had to make certain modifications. First, add gussets to the sleeves. That way, when I move my arm up and down, I don't have to worry about the dress pulling up with it. I like having freedom of motion and being able to reach something without something else getting in the way. I made smaller sleeve cuffs and see for better movement and not having to deal with anything bunching up and pinching at my arm. The next thing that I did was the collar you see. Unlike the pattern, which was a straight rectangle, I opted to draft, sew, and attach a mandarin collar because that's what's closer to the design in the movie. I did not do the lace on here because that would require constant blocking, which is not something I'm interested in doing. The other thing that I did was lengthen the entire waistband so that it would be pretty much able to stay on there. As for the pockets, I have a pattern that Sophie had drafted up, put on a website when she got sponsored by Squarespace. I quickly downloaded that, and good thing I did because it's no longer available. I took that, made it wider and a little bit longer to suit my needs. I often do the Arizona tea test, where if I can fit an entire bottle of Arizona iced tea into my pocket, I'm golden. With these, they are nice, wide. I can fit phone, wallet, keys, and a can of Arizona iced tea in there with no problem. Everything from the waist up was done on about 2¼ yards of fabric, which brings me to the skirt. And oh boy, there were problems. So many problems. On the second round of mock-up, I improvised a skirt pattern when I completely blanked on how to make a circle skirt. My dance teacher was kind enough to teach me, but at the time, it was a few months behind before I was even able to cut the fabric. I got a roll of wrapping paper, drafted out a pattern based off of some tutorials on YouTube, put it down as to get a skirt pattern. This is the mock-up right behind me. It got the job done. The hem is uneven, but I wasn't going to complain. For the actual dress, I did not use that. I thought I didn't need it. I was confident enough where I could do a circle skirt with no issue, and that's where I messed up. The shape ended up being not what I wanted. The length was there, but the overall shape was not the circle skirt I had originally envisioned. And oh boy, I messed up. But I was so fixated on getting everything done by the end of September when I was doing the September sprint. I was in the mindset of, good enough. That is where I could have done a lot of things better. But did I? No, I did not. Did I have to fix everything afterwards? Yeah, and there was a time. I spent 2 hours with my mom, evening out the hem, trimming down what needed to be trimmed, and then coming over to this sewing machine cabinet and sewing up the hem. That took, I think, about an hour and a half. By the time I was done, I had to hand sew the parts where I missed. And again, I was just like, good enough, I don't care, it's fine. The other thing that I didn't do that Sophie did with her dress was the partridge pleat. Doing what I did for the last 2 mock-ups, where I put the waistband directly onto the bodice and then sewed the skirt to the waistband. On the advice of friends and family, I sewed the skirt right here, directly to the bodice itself, and then hand sewn the waistband on top. That way it gives a little bit extra strength because there's a lot of fabric here, and that adds up in terms of weight. Especially if it's going to be used and washed a lot of times, I need it to last. This fabric was not cheap. Other things that I do plan on doing is taking some scraps and making the buttons for down here. Because of the fact that I did a dart, it'll look like there's a little flap here, and I think it'll look cute. I'm going to make sure that I get like the round buttons without the shanks. That way it can stay very secure and not have floaty buttons eventually come off. I'm not a fan of things that don't have function, or if they are decorative, they need to stay. This dress came together a lot faster than expected. Overall, it took me 6 weeks to get this done, from the end of August all the way to October 1st. I have since worn it around the house and out and about. I've gotten a lot of compliments. A lot of people were very impressed with the fact that I made this. After washing it, it shrunk down and it has a very lovely shape, especially when I'm wearing the corset that I am wearing. In modern underwear, such as like a regular bra, the chest looks a lot bigger due to the gathers right. It's not a big deal, but I preferred to wear my corset with this. It's a lot nicer, and I do plan on making a pair of combinations to go underneath the corset. That way I can just move around the house and not have to worry about overheating due to linen. I had a wonderful time making this. I look forward to taking what I learned from this dress and applying it to the yellow dress, because with that one I have to figure out how to do a ruffle for the skirt and do the math. Hope and pray that I have enough fabric. That has been my wrap up. I don't have a lot of footage except for the stuff that is currently on my YouTube channel. You can find it under the playlist Sophie Dress Project. Thank you so much for everyone who's been along this journey. Really appreciate it. And remember, hey, you're doing good. Don't worry about it. Cheers, everyone.